Big Ten scheduling format with USC and UCLA included in the conference will be released soon. We're talking tomorrow, possibly. Even maybe today. Tony Petitti, the Big Ten Commissioner, was on the Rich Eisen show yesterday. We're going to be breaking that down. Also, John Canzano wrote an article that described the unthinkable. Events that might happen years down the road, some not so unthinkable. He focused in on UCLA possibly moving back to the Big Ten in 2030. Welcome to episode 235 of College Football's Peek Around the Corner with your host, Greg Pflugar. We cover everything in college football because we love everything in college football. And if you do as well, please subscribe to our ever-growing channel. Smash that like button if you like our content. Share the video with your family and friends. First of all, let's talk about, I will provide a link in the description, the Rich Eisen show, the whole thing, watch the whole thing. Tony Petitti, the new Big Ten Commissioner, was on. Rich Eisen was talking about lots of questions to Tony Petitti. We're going to be focusing in on what did Tony Petitti say about the Big Ten scheduling format that's going to be released here in a day or so. First of all, he said the number one responsibility right now is the commissioner of the Big Ten, Tony Petitti, UCLA and USC onboarding process. Just like what Kevin Warren said, Tony Petitti is saying the same thing. That has to be done. Now, it has to be completed. It's been being worked on for months. It has to be completed. What is different about bringing in USC and UCLA in the Big Ten versus via Nebraska and Penn State years down before is the traveling issue. All the miles between USC and UCLA to the other Big Ten schools. Scheduling is a challenge now and going forward. Tony Petitti made that perfectly clear. They're spending a lot of time on the scheduling aspect. Number two, Tony Petitti says they've made progress, but they continue to work on balancing the interests, the scheduling of their three major media partners, Fox, CBS, and NBC. He sounded optimistic. It sounds like things are progressing, but that is a challenge, balancing the interests, balancing the scheduling of those three major partners. He also talked about the work of the college football playoffs heading into 2024. But I also think he gave a little bit of a hint that, a lot of work is going to be done when it comes to 2026, when the college football playoff expansion happens all over again in 2026. It could look different than what it looks like in 2024. He says there's work to be done when it comes to the college football playoffs. He also talked about the Big Ten's women's basketball conference. The women basketball did very good last year. He says there's opportunities to create more value out of the women's basketball in the Big Ten. He says, Tony Petitti, this was the money shot of the whole interview, the PATC money shot. Tony Petitti says they're a few days away, just a few days away from unveiling their Big Ten format, how they're going to schedule football going forward. They're going to stick with 9 conference games, but they want to have a rotation that goes quickly by. They want every team playing every other team in a very short amount of time. We're not talking about 4, 5, 6, 7 years down the road. He wants teams to clearly rotate amongst the whole conference in a very short order. In that, he wants SOS, strength of schedule, to be, it has to be dealt with. Strength of schedule, balanced strength of schedule throughout the conference. That has to happen when you're doing the short rotation. And protected rivalries, long-time rivalries, will be protected. In a day or so, they're going to unveil this new format. And in that new format, what I got out of this interview with Tony Petitti and Rich Eisen, and again, listen to the whole interview. We'll provide a link. But what I got out of it is going to be a flex protected rival list. In other words, One school like Iowa might have 3 protected rivals, and a school like Penn State might only have 1. That's what I got out of it. Now, Tony Petitti did not say this in the interview, and we do not have intel where this is going here at Peek Around the Corner. But again, it's just my observation, how I heard Tony Petitti talk about this. Protected historic rivals. Historic rivalries in the Big Ten will be protected in this new format. It just didn't sound like every school was going to have like 3 protected rivals, 3 permanent rivals in the scheduling format. It didn't sound like that was the way it was going. We're going to find out soon enough. Put down your comments and thoughts in the comment section below the video. When you listen to the whole interview, let me know what you all think. That was the money shot. That was the most important item in the interview. He also went on to say that the game times, historic game times, they're going to be respected as much as possible. He thought he gave a lot of credit to Fox Sports, their main media partner, in creating the big noon game, putting the biggest game of the week on big noon. He thought that was very creative and has created a lot of value for the Big Ten and Fox Sports. And he said the selection process between NBC, CBS, between all their media partners, the selection process is getting ironed out. Once again, he talked very optimistic about what's going to happen in the future of the Big Ten. The one other thing I want to point out, and I'm very interested to read your comments. Tony Petitti did not say the 2024 football schedule was going to be released in a couple of days. He said the format, how they were going to go about it. So we're not looking at a new schedule release for 2024. We're looking at a protected rival list and how they're going to rotate through, how often one team is going to play another team if they're not on their protected rival list. That is what we're going to see, I think, today, tomorrow, or Friday. Now, John Canzano. You want plot twist? I got him. While we wait for Live PGA wedding, I look at some not so unthinkable things that could happen. Not so unthinkable things. Article from yesterday. I just want to point out one point of the article that John Canzano, it's about UCLA. Again, in his article, the Pac-12 could offer an increased distribution to UCLA in 2030. It could dangle a clearer path to the playoff. Also, far less travel for the soccer teams. It's not the craziest thought. Keep in mind, the Pac-12 doesn't have to get both USC and UCLA back. It only needs one of the two to recapture the Los Angeles television market and 5.6 million TV households that were lost to the Big Ten. More implausible, the PGA toasting with the Saudis or UCLA making Bill Walton happy and returning to the Pac-12. This was one of his some not so unthinkable. One of his not so unthinkable scenarios playing out. The Pac-12 can offer an increased distribution to UCLA in 2030. It could dangle a clear path to the playoff. Again, here at Peek Around the Corner, how easy it is to get to the playoffs is at the very bottom of the list that what presidents and athletic directors are looking at when it comes to possible realignment. There's so many things that are going on in college football, in the college football landscape. I am not here to pick on any other writer or any other reporter in college football, but some people are still missing what is truly going on. UCLA called the Big Ten in hopes to get in the conference to better position themselves for the future. 7 years down the line, 2030. I'm telling you right now, if Colorado goes to Big 12, some other schools could very potentially follow. The Pac-12 isn't going to be anything. It's not going to look like anything that it does look like today. This is totally implausible. UCLA is not going back to the Pac-12. A higher distribution model, an unequal revenue distribution model is not going to get UCLA back to the Pac-12, whatever that looks like in 2030, even if it even exists. Clear path to the playoffs. That's not what Texas and Oklahoma looked at when they called the SEC together, Greg Sankey. It's not what UCLA and USC looked at when they called the Big Ten. It's definitely not what they're going to be looking at in 2030. The world is changing. It's going to change a lot in 2026. UCLA made sure that they were in the room. That they were in the room. They have a voice. They have a position for the future of college football and college sports when they successfully entered into the Big Ten. They're not going back to the Pac-12. Not in 2030. Just wanted to point that out, that there's still a lot of resistance. Now, I understand people don't like what's going on. I get that. The consolidation of college football and college sports, I get that. But the resistance of what is really happening is still out there. So, again, put down your comments and thoughts in the comment section below the video. Let me know how wrong I am once again here at PATC. Until next time, from all of us at Peek Around the Corner to all of you, please, you all take great care of each other. Thank you so very much.